Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Gretchen, and today I'm back with another International Booker Longlist review. And today's book is The Details by E. Genberg, and this is translated from the Swedish by Kira Josefsson. And this book was a quiet, reflective, not really plot-based book that is primarily spent looking into the past. So our main character, which now that I think about it, I don't think she's ever named. So the story starts with her being sick. She is ill, she has a fever, and she is drawn to this novel that she was given as a gift in the past when she was dealing with another febrile illness years and years ago. So she is drawn to this novel and she opens it up and she reads the inscription from the woman that gave it to her, and it kind of starts to spark and loosen all of those memories. And then she's kind of like having a fever dream that takes her back to the past, and she starts to remember all of these things. And it's broken up into 4 different sections, and each of those sections she is reminiscing about a certain person in her life, or that was in her life that no longer is, and she is kind of piecing all of that together, and she eventually, or we as the reader, start to learn how the culmination of all of the people that are a part of our past, how they kind of congeal and come together and help create the people that we are, and how their being parts of our lives impacts us. And it was really interesting. It was quiet. Like I said, there wasn't a whole lot going on, but I think that it was really well done. And although it didn't have a lot of plot necessarily, it did have an awful lot to say. So the first person, or first section, is about Joanna. And Joanna is the woman that gave her the book. And the book, just in case you're curious, is the New York Trilogy by Paul Auster, which is really weird because Paul Auster is also a Booker shortlisted or longlisted writer. He was longlisted. I think he was maybe even actually shortlisted for 4321 back in, that would have been 2017, 2018 maybe. But I did like that connection between Booker present and Booker past. But basically, she gives our narrator this book. Our narrator is actually sick with malaria, and she gives her the novel as kind of a get well present and something for her to read to get her through the time that she will be spending in bed overcoming her illness. And then we learn about Joanna and her life with the narrator. They were lovers, and this was when they were very young, and prior to Joanna becoming stable in her career, she's actually a radio host or a radio talk show host, and she ends up becoming fairly famous. And prior to her getting to that point, their relationship kind of fizzles out, but we learn a lot about their relationship, and it was one of those relationships that was good, but it also was doomed to fail, and it had its toxic elements, and the narrator guides us through all of that. And then once we finish with her reflection on Joanna, we move into her reflection on a friend that she had, a friend and roommate named Nikki. And Nikki was like a ball of chaos. She was in and out of people's lives. She came from money, and money was really no object for her. And she kind of used her money as a weapon, in a sense. And although the narrator talks very fondly about her time that she spent with Nikki as her roommate and through university, it's also another instance where the person in your life is turning you into the person that you are, but not necessarily molding you into the same person that they are, but almost you witnessing their behaviors and making a conscious decision to do the exact opposite of what that person does. And I found that to be very interesting, because so much we feel like we are influenced by the people in our lives to do the same things, but so often, and I have found this so much in my life, that I can recognize when there are toxic people in my life, and I will actually do everything I can to do the exact opposite of some of these people in my life, because I know that that's not how I would want to be portrayed or treat anybody else in this world. So I found that dynamic to be really interesting. After Nikki, we then focus on Alejandro, and that he was another lover of hers, and he had some demons of his own. He struggles with drug addiction, and she falls very much in love with him. But once again, it's a toxic situation, but she does end up having some really good things that end up coming out of it. So that was a really nice reflection as well. And then last but not least, we get into Birgit's story. And Birgit is a woman that unfortunately at a very young age, she was a victim of sexual assault, and her life was turned upside down after that happened, and it led for her to have a life that focused, or her to have a life filled with PTSD and anxiety. And that event that she certainly didn't ask to happen to her ended up making her life all about her struggles with mental health. I think of all of the sections, Birgit's was my favorite. And I say my favorite, I think it was just the one that I most emotionally connected to. It was really compelling to learn about how these tragic events can happen in people's lives when they're young, and there is nothing they can do to control those events from happening, and the aftermath and the consequences of that event end up determining how the rest of their life is going to be. And in Birgit's case, it was PTSD and anxiety, and her life became about her mental illness, and all of the people that she met from the time the event happened in her life were impacted by her mental illness as well. And even though you would never consciously want your mental illness to negatively impact others, it's inevitable that it will happen. And it's sad, it's tragic. And I think that this author did an amazing job. And when I read stuff like this, I cannot help but think or almost feel empathetic to the author, because when you have authors that can write books that hit so close to home like this, you know that they've had to have had some personal experience. And I just think that that's, it's sad, because you know that they've had personal experience, and that's where they're likely pulling that from. And I just think that E. Genberg did an amazing job. Now, obviously, obviously this book is not going to be for everybody. It was super quiet. It didn't, like I said, have a lot going on. It was more about that emotional journey. It was more about character. I want to say character development, but that's not even the case because we really don't learn too much about the narrator as a person. We learn about these other people and we kind of put the puzzle pieces together to find out what type of person we would think the narrator would be. And I think that that's kind of, oh yeah, like look, the puzzle pieces and stuff on the front. So yeah, it was another 4-star read for me. We're going in strong. Although I haven't been blown away with the book yet, I've had 2 solid contenders so far, and I'm pretty happy with my reads. I am going to be doing my review next for Lost on Me because I have finished that one as well. So until we read again, bye.